Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello. First of all, I would love to welcome you all on this session today. This is our second session, and I'm really glad that we're able to do this. Before we fully jump into today's topic, there are a few things I want to share with you. So last week it was actually Valentine's session, so I did not have really chance to introduce myself and to tell you a little bit more about our project. But I would love to do it right now, and I just want to check with you. Can you see my screen? Can you see the presentation? Yes? Okay, perfect. That's great. So first of all, welcome. I want to definitely pinpoint that this project, this whole art incubator, is possible to be executed, to be done because of the Visegrad Fund and because of our amazing partners. So you already met last week Valentin from Art Connect. However, you will get to know as well other mentors from GJW Gallery, Paulina, and Arikupsos from Arikupsos Gallery. Before we start, I would love to introduce myself. So my name is Wiktoria Zygopikowska, and I am founder of Victory Art. And mainly, I want to tell you why you can consider me as credible source of information within the art market. So I have master's degree in cultural entrepreneurship and economics. I am active over 10 years, or I have actually over 10 years of practical experience in the art market from perspective of art business and another 5 years of experience from perspective of artist. So therefore, I'm able to empathize with you on different levels a little bit better. And what I'm very much focused on, especially in the past 10 years, is to bring more attention towards art and artists from Central and Eastern Europe. For all those who are very much interested in art market from the financial perspective, I would love to bring attention to my research, which I did last year, and it is focused on the analysis of financial success strategies of visual fine artpreneurs within the primary art market. So in this research, there were mainly painters. So if you're interested to read this research, to read the outcome of this research, you can scan this QR code. And of course, we're going to share this presentation with you as well tomorrow. So you will be able to find the QR code there. Before we start, I actually want to tell you a bit more about this whole incubator. So first of all, I know that some of you will not be able to join all the time, but please make sure that you let us know that you shoot us an email so we will not wait for you and we will just know about your absence. Another thing I want to tell you is that please pay attention to the worksheets. It's very important to do these worksheets in order to make the knowledge, or actually to improve the knowledge you gain from all these sessions. It's not mandatory, it's voluntary. However, if you're gonna do those worksheets, it will bring you, like, this whole art incubator is going to bring you so much more value. So definitely pay attention to them. And mainly, you get what you give from this art incubator. So if you will actively participate, if you will do actively the worksheets, if you will be really executing all those things you will get to know here, then it will, of course, bring you so much more value. As well, very, very important thing. All of these sessions will be recorded and will be published. As you could see, it's already on YouTube because this is public thing. So you don't have to be actually worried. We're gonna cut off all, I don't know, maybe discussions we're gonna have or your personal things you will share. So you don't have to be worried. On the videos and recordings, there will be mainly the lectures. At the same time, you probably already saw in the email, all of you will have 2 mentor sessions for free based on your preferences of the mentor. As I mentioned, at the same time, you will be able to book these mentor sessions only after all the mentors will be introduced. And I believe that the last mentor, Paulina from GJW gallery is going to be introduced around the middle of February. So after that point, you will be able to book your sessions with the mentors. You probably already visited our website. However, if you want to get to know specifically the names of the sessions and the dates, it's every Wednesday until the end of May. But if you want to know specifically the topics, you're able to find it at victoryart.eu/art incubator. So in terms of Q&A regarding the incubator, feel free to either ask me questions right now, or you can always write me an email. You can write it here in the chat, and then we can have a look at it at the end of the session. And one last very important thing, we shared with you a questionnaire. This questionnaire is basically just kind of kickoff of this whole art incubator. Some of you did already share it with me. Some of you did not share it with me. Those people who did not share it with me yet, please make sure that you're going to send it to us like this tomorrow. And for those who ask for the permission, I gave only permission to view the file, not to write directly in the file. I know a lot of you ask for permission to edit. However, that one link was specifically shared with all participants, so you need to download it. And then you need to fill it in probably in your pages or in your Word, or I don't know what software you use, but basically just make sure that you download it, fill it in, and then send it to us. We're going to do this questionnaire 2 more times. So the second one is going to be around the middle of the art incubator, so you can expect it in like 2 months. And then, of course, the last one is going to be just before the last session. However, today I would love to jump as well to introduce our company, Victory Art. You probably had a look at our website, but very briefly said, we're a company which is helping talented artists from Central and Eastern Europe to come to the global art world. So what we do is that we help artists grow, not only grow in terms of giving them more attention or helping them to do exhibitions or connecting them with clients, but as well this kind of stuff. So mentoring, seminars, consultancy sessions. What we're as well helping our clients with is to find the perfect Central and Eastern European artist for them. And they can either buy art, rent art. We had as well clients who are very much interested in the commissions, art commissions as well. So if you're a visual fine art artist, so it means maybe painter, or you're doing drawings, digital art, or you're a photographer, you can always connect with our curator at victoryart.eu. So feel free to share with us your portfolio, your artistic CV, maybe your motivation, and at the same time pricing, and we're able to have a look at your portfolio. So right now, we can directly jump to our first session of, or actually done by Victory Art, but this is already our second session. And this is going to be focused on pricing your art for the art market. We are usually starting with these sessions. And the reason is that in our daily work, we see a lot of issues with pricing. I have to mention that this is going to be a kind of more general session because we have different audience here today. I know that we have some dancers or like some performing artists and visual artists, but I want you to really think about it from bigger perspective and think how you can implement it in your art business. So pricing the art market, pricing your art for the market. And why is pricing important? If you price your art too low, you're underselling yourself. And if you're pricing it too high, you might be overselling yourself. And I can tell you that if you are underselling yourself, you are still doing better than having too high price and not selling anything. We're going to have a look at different ways how you can come up with the pricing. There are multiple formulas you can use. And we're going to talk as well about challenges which artists usually have when they're pricing their works. I would love to mention that if you have any questions, you can always write it in the chat. We can have a look at them at the end, or you can just write down your question and we can have a look at them at the Q&A. Today, we're going to have a little bit more time for Q&A, so you don't have to be worried. So there is quite challenging time in terms of new artists creating their pricing. What we usually see at Victory Art is that new artists, they look at the internet, they think that, hey, I think that my art looks something like this. I feel like I can charge the same as that specific artist. However, they are not looking at different perspective. They're not looking at perspective that they did not exhibit, that they did not have sales, that maybe they did not participate in this kind of incubators or different workshops or art residencies. So there are a lot of aspects which are important in terms of creating the pricing. Actually, in the art market, it's over 40 aspects which are usually influencing that. But today we're going to be talking really about something tangible, what you can take from this session and you can start implementing it. Of course, your reputation and your prices are rising when you get more awards, more PR, more exhibitions, more collaborations. So make sure that beside of working on your social media, what we're gonna talk about in the upcoming sessions, that you keep on your mind certain strategy in order to really grow the career, not only grow your social media. So what I see as well very often that artists do not really consider or look at the pricing from perspective of their own personal investment. So they are looking at it from perspective that, oh, this is probably what I want to get for this art, but they don't look at it from perspective, okay, so how many hours did I spend? How much material I actually invested in this? Or they think that they buy material which they use for next 10 art pieces, but they only include it in pricing of the one. They don't divide it between 10. And mainly, they don't check what is actually the finances in terms of their studio rent, utilities, and other services they need in order to actually get their art to collector and get the art out there. So when you're creating your pricing, really think about all these aspects. So how much time I invest, how much material I realistically did invest. And I don't mean only within that one artwork, but you have to think about, okay, so I'm using, for example, these brushes multiple times, or I'm using these paints as well, I don't know, for half year, or I'm buying a bunch of canvases, or like one huge canvas, which I might be dividing later on. So like you really have to think realistically about these kind of things. What's key thing is to really consider your audience, because there's one perspective of selling to first-time art buyers, and there's completely different way to create pricing and to target people who are already certain like skilled collectors. So it's the same when you go, for example, to art fairs. If you are a beginner artist, you're not gonna go and showcase your artworks in TEFAF, for example, TEFAF, which is happening in Maastricht in Netherlands, or you're not going to be, or you will not go to Art Basel, because first of all, you will not be interesting for the audience. You will not have a chance to stand out there, and it's just not the right target group for you. However, if you're thinking that, okay, I'm gonna try a smaller art fair where there are beginner collectors or like first-time art buyers who have limited budget, who have limited knowledge, you can choose more appropriate art fairs. So let's say, I don't know, Prague art or art Rotterdam. Like these are only a few things which are coming to my mind, but really have very objective conversation, internal conversation with yourself, that where you belong in your art career. And based on the fact that this is art incubator, which is more focused on the upcoming artist, I believe that you are as well the upcoming artist, and that we can have this discussion about really having these basic things or basic steps done before you really kick off your art career. So when you are creating your pricing, it's important to be consistent with your pricing. Consistency is one of the most important things, because if you are offering your art on different platforms, and on one platform it costs this amount and another it costs this amount, it's pretty problematic. I have to say that what I see happening pretty often is that artists do not want to really share their profit or share their commission with art galleries or art platforms. You have to understand as an artist that sometimes it will be a bit necessary to do that. And it will be necessary to do that in order to have a long-term profit from what you're doing. So I know that some galleries, they might be charging 50%. Some online platforms, they're charging 30, 40, 50. It really depends on who you're working with. But if you do not feel comfortable with giving away certain provision, then there is a huge problem. Because first of all, these platforms, these galleries, these shops, I don't know who you might be working with, they have their own purpose. So they are not only possibly bringing you sale, what's the best case scenario. However, they're bringing you visibility, they're bringing you credibility. And if you're not willing to share a bit of the profit with them, then you cannot expect actually anything in return, right? And we have to be as well very honest that you as beginner artist, you're not able to handle every process within the representation. So it's better to a little bit outsource certain things to more skilled people, have a little bit less profit, but in the long run, you're building your career, you're earning more. Okay, so when you are thinking about your pricing, you have to really think about your art and what competition is out there. So let's say if you're a person who is working on a very unique project, if you're a person who is using very unique materials, or you're artist who's really focused on the sustainable art, you have certain advantages. However, if you're a person who is, I don't know, creating acrylic paintings, and you're painting flowers, then we have to be very honest here. You have quite a lot of competition out there. So think about kind of putting yourself in a box. I understand a lot of artists don't like it, but you need to do it in order to be able to compare yourself with the market and in the market. So how big are your paintings? Then what kind of course, medium you do? What's the main subject? What's unique about you? What's your unique selling point? And based on that, you will be able to do the market research so much better. So really sit down with yourself and start thinking about these few points. Of course, we have here performing artists. It's a little bit different for them. For the photographers, it's as well much different topic for them, because they are selling more prints. Usually they're not selling only original, like very original artworks. They're usually selling they have limited edition of prints which they're selling. So it really depends what medium you do, and based on that, start doing your research. And I know that sometimes this kind of inner voice or your intuition tells you that, oh, but I should be charging more because my art is better than art of other people. I understand. However, unless you have sales, you don't have proof of your assumption, of your own assumption. And I have to be very, very, even a bit cruel here. However, your art on the art market has very limited value unless it's sold. And when you're an artist and you want to actually insure your artworks for an exhibition, no insurance is gonna do it unless the artwork was sold and you have proof that person paid that amount for the artwork, or until you pay for certificates of authenticity, we can call it of authenticity or authentic pricing, which is usually much more expensive than art of upcoming artists. So another thing what I want to definitely tell you is that it's good that you create for yourself your own personal pricing calculator. We're going to talk shortly about different formulas, but the best thing possible you can do is to choose one of these formulas, follow that formula for all of your artworks. You can create a template. It's good to actually have as well documentation that, hey, based on this formula, this artwork costs this artwork costs that artwork costs that. When I'm having consultancies with artists and I'm asking them, okay, so how did you come up with this pricing? It's usually very tough for them to tell me. And this is for me quite a weird thing, because before you enter the market, you should already have this strong vision. You should already have the vision how you're pricing your artwork. And what happens to me very often is at the same time that I have to sadly tell artists to lower down or go lower with their pricing. So it's not, of course, the best case scenario. However, if you price your art at 4,500 euros and then you have no sales, no one wants your art, then probably you're doing something wrong. So make sure that you keep as well documentation of the pricing. Keep documentation of your buyers. Because at some point, or your clients, if you're in different industry, keep a list of them year by year, how your pricing developed, how many artworks you sold, where were they based, your buyers, what they were specifically interested in, smaller artworks, bigger artworks, specific medium, specific topic, because all these things, all this data can help you to develop yourself better for the future. So doing marketing or like working on your art career without having this kind of knowledge is like shooting into the darkness. You don't see where you're going. You don't see where how you're developing. So when you're actually handling negotiations, sometimes it's good to give a bit of discount. However, it only depends whether the buyer is reoccurring buyer or the client is reoccurring the client, and whether client is buying in bulks. Because if your client is buying 2, 3, 4, 5 artworks, they will naturally expect something in return or something extra to give them. And very important thing, we already mentioned that before. However, having consistent pricing, so it means for the gallery representation, for the online sales, for your own platform is very important. So I know that if the gallery is selling it, you have to give them a bit of profit, but then it might come back from your own resources, from your own personal social media or the website. So there are a few tips and tricks how you can make the pricing work better for you. So for example, of course, you have to know who is your buyer, who is buying your artworks, because if it's first-time art buyer, if it's student, if it's person who just bought the house, then you cannot ask so much then from, collector who already purchased, I don't know, 20 other artworks over her life. We discussed as well photographers, but this is applicable as well to painters. So if you're creating a print, this is topic for another discussion. However, some artists really find it very useful, and some artists find it as a negative thing. But I don't want to really jump into it, but you can have a look at it yourself. You can have a look whether it makes sense for you to do it from financial perspective, whether you want to go that way as an artist, and we can discuss it more during the personal consultation. But a few things. When you're, of course, like not rounding the prices, but make it seem like a little bit cheaper, even if it's $1, people are much more likely to buy it. I think that you already know it for yourself. You already know it when you're going to a store. Something seems so much cheaper when it's €9.99 than €10. I wouldn't really dive very strongly into this topic, but having certain bundles or access to limited editions or pre-access to new collections for special clients is definitely one of the ways how to attract people and how to make them more curious, more willing to buy from you. So first formula, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is more generic and this is more focused toward visual artists. However, as well, performing artists or other kinds of artists or creatives can get inspiration out of it. But one of the most typical ways how to price your art is to really think about square inches or square centimeters of your artwork, and then multiply it by specific amount you consider as appropriate for your artworks. So let's say if you're an artist, you really have to think about, if you're especially the upcoming artist, you have to think about how expensive are your tools. Because if you're starting, you probably have more budget-friendly tools than when you are very established artist who is working with, I don't know, oil colors or different things. So really think how much that 1 centimeter actually costs you. Square centimeter cost you. Like what is your investment in terms of time, in terms of basically just cost of creating that, or in terms of utilities you have to invest into it. Okay, I have to hurry up a bit. Another formula is that you can multiply the hourly wage with the amount of hours you spend in creating the artwork, plus including the materials and including the utilities and all other things which are actually connected with you, with the artwork, or you creating the artwork. I think that if you're thinking about this is a very broad formula which is applicable for all artists, whether you are, I don't know, even designer, clothing designer, or whether you're performing artist. This is like really good formula to go for. In the presentation which we're going to share with you tomorrow, you will be able to find a bit more information. You can go through it a bit yourself, have a look at the formulas, try to create different formulas and apply it to art and see what works the best for you. And this one, I have to say, this one is the most popular one, which I so far see, and it is that you count height and width of your artwork and then multiply it with how much it cost you that 1 centimeter to create. So as well, as I mentioned before, you have to consider your time, you have to consider your investment, like on not materials, but as well the utilities. So these are the 3 very quick formulas you can use. And the second one, as I mentioned, this one is applicable for a really broad spectrum of artists. Of course, if you are an artist who is working, for example, on sustainable art, or who is working on I don't know, with 24 karat gold, or you are having some very, very unique topic, maybe some psychological topic, a lot of people usually add this kind of emotional story value into it. But with this one, I would be very sensitive and I would test it out. I would really ask multiple people, at least 10 people who have some knowledge in art industry or who purchased artwork before, to ask them how they feel about it. If you are doing good and the demand is high, you can start slowly raising your prices. I wouldn't go higher than 25% per raise. So if you're consistently selling, then you can go slowly up to 10%. But I would do it slowly. Afterwards, if you receive some award or you exhibited in some really great gallery, museum, or you're dancer, you performed in like a very established institution, or you collaborated with established artists, then you can go up to 25%. But you really need to see what kind of response you will get from the art market. So start rather smaller than super high. That's definitely a good way to go. And the more sales you will get, the higher you can go, the quicker. And think about what unique points you can offer to your clients, even in terms of pricing. So in terms of as well some homework information, you will get the presentation and the video around noon tomorrow, as well with a worksheet. Please make sure that both of the worksheets will be prepared, or you will work on them until next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, you're going to have another meeting with Valentine. We're going to share with you the link to the meeting, so you will be able to discuss with her probably for a little bit longer. And please make sure that you share with us the questionnaire until tomorrow. And don't forget that you get what you give. So if you really sit down and you will think about your pricing, you will start implementing what we just discussed, then you will be able to progress more in your career. Thank you very much as well for today. We're going to share with you all the materials. If you have any other questions, feel free to email us, and I'm looking forward to meet you next week. And have a great evening, everyone.